It's Thursday, the 25th of February 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Today's headlines. Woolworths announces a bumper profit and starts pulling away from its main rival Coles. Plus, wages last quarter jumped sharply, exactly what the government and Reserve Bank ordered. Property group Scentre takes a stand on tenants after announcing a massive loss. And restrictions across the country are slowly being lifted. Our lead story today. Supermarket giant Woolworths said its half-year underlying profit jumped 16% to $1.1 billion. But the best may be over. The main weak spot in the business was the hotels business, while Big W, which had been struggling, returned to growth. The big battle in the supermarket segment is Woolworths versus Coles. Woolies has outperformed Coles so far this year, with same-store sales more than twice that of its rival. Metcash and its neighbourhood IGA stores did best of all during the pandemic as people shop near home, and Aldi has maintained its market share. Woolworths Chief Executive Brad Banducci said the focus now is on accelerating the retailer's digital capabilities to take advantage of the e-commerce boom. He said it wouldn't be long before digital visits exceeded physical visits across the group. Supermarket wars matter to shareholders and consumers, but they also matter to the economy, all the suppliers to the retailers, and the tens of thousands of staff that work in the outlets. Woolies was the market leader for many years, though Coles closed the gap up until the pandemic. Yesterday, Mr. Banducci was much more upbeat about Woolworths prospects than his counterpart at Coles, Stephen Kane, was last week. It just looks and feels like Woolies is starting to pull away again. In overseas news, President Joe Biden will review US supply chains in an effort to diminish the world's largest economy's reliance on China and other adversaries. The 100-day review will cover everything from chips to batteries, pharmaceuticals and rare earths. The US Food and Drug Administration has found that a single dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was effective against different strains of the coronavirus. The dose is a single shot, making it easy to administer. And Osamu Suzuki, the 91-year-old chair of Suzuki Motor Corp, will step down after spending more than 40 years as CEO or chair of the group. Needless to say, he's been the longest leader of a major manufacturer in the sector. Locally, wages jumped by 0.6% during the December quarter, much higher than most economists expected. Annual growth was 1.4%, with most of the strength in private sector wages. According to the Bureau of Statistics, businesses have now rolled back some short-term wage reductions introduced during COVID-19. Wages are rising and that's good news, but there's still some way to go. Scentre, which owns the Westfield Malls portfolio in Australia, posted an underlying profit of $766 million last calendar year, down more than 40%. The net profit, which includes $4.2 billion in revaluations of its property portfolios due to the pandemic, was a loss of $3.7 billion. That's the biggest of the season. Chief Executive Peter Allen called 2020 a challenging year. He's not wrong. The battle between the landlords and the retailers over rent and how to pay it continues. Some tenants want it to reflect turnover, but Mr. Allen said leases had not changed and remain based on a fixed base rent. The Financial Review is reporting that the federal government is considering terminating the $90 billion submarine program with the French government-owned shipbuilder Naval Group. While dumping the contract would cause a rift with France, Mr. Morrison wants to examine all options for the extremely expensive program. Nine Entertainment reported a 69% jump in net profit last half, and its boss Hugh Marks said commercial deals with Facebook and Google will help keep journalism jobs. One of the more incredible stories in recent months has involved missing businesswoman Melissa Caddick, who managed to swindle investors out of $20 million without providing one genuine document. Liquidators appointed by the federal court yesterday said there were hundreds of false bank statements, share contracts and share trading statements involved in the swindle. Ms. Caddick left her home in November last year and hasn't been seen since. More than $20 million of investors' money was deposited in her accounts, and she's withdrawn all but $700,000. Slowly, restrictions are easing across the country. From tomorrow morning, people in South Australia will be able to dance again. In the ACT, patrons no longer have to sit down when having a drink at a licensed premises. New South Wales, which is 38 days without a community transmission, will allow up to 50 people in a home and up to 30 people can dance at a wedding. Gyms can have up to 50 people at a time, though the 4 square metre rule remains. Meanwhile, a doctor in Queensland who hadn't been adequately trained gave 2 excessive doses of COVID-19 vaccine to aged care patients yesterday, triggering a storm of criticism. Neither patient showed any adverse reaction. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you've hit subscribe so you don't miss out. There's also more in today's full Fear and Greed podcast, including an interview with Jason Strong, Managing Director of Meat and Livestock Australia, about the red meat industry. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.